B, E, F, C, D, or would I get A, B, E, F, C, D? Taha, you are correct. We would have B, E, F, C, D, then A. Let me just rephrase what I said. So when I said that I'm going to do DFS, let's just say that we are only going to apply the explore function of DFS, not the entirety of DFS. Remember that DFS was for every vertex, apply explore, right? Where explore just figured out all the connected components of this particular subgraph. Right, so let's say that I'm only going to apply explore to this particular graph that takes in a starting vertex and takes in a G or your graph and basically figures out all the components that are connected to this particular vertex V. So in that scenario, if I start it from B, I would get B, E, F, C, D, right? Does everyone agree that if I explode from V or from B, I would get B, E, F, C, D, just exploding, no DFS. Perfect. So if I start, A will always be before the SCC containing B, no matter which node you start. Yes, A will always be before this component because either I start with A, in that scenario, A is going to be the source, or I start with B, then B, E, F, C, D would have lower post visit numbers because A would be done at the very end. In any case, A would always have the largest post visit number. Right? In any case, even if I start with B, all the nodes here would have some post visit number, and then I would have to explore A separately. That would get me a post visit number larger than all of those nodes. If I start with A, then I need to cover B, E, F, C, D, all of them together. Then I will come back to A, and that again would give me a largest post visit number for A. Right? I will explain this in a bit more detail, but you have caught on to a very nice point. Yes, A would always have a larger post visit number because of those rules, right? A child node or child set of nodes would always have a smaller post visit number than the parent. And that also is an important distinction or important property when we are trying to find out the strongly connected components of a particular graph. Okay. So if we start out exploring from B, I would get my strongly connected component. Now, let's say that I am talking about these set of nodes. Right? So let's say that this is a strongly connected component, and let's say that I've grouped all of these nodes into a single node. B, E, F, C, D, let's just replace everything here with the value X. Let's say, because it is a strongly connected component, I'm able to replace it with X. Now, is X a source node or a sink node? In other words, this strongly connected component, is it a source strongly connected component or a sink strongly connected component?
Can you define a sink again?
Sink where nodes where all of the edges just go to that node, and there are no outgoing edges from that node. So it only has incoming edges, no outgoing edges. A source would be where it only has outgoing edges but no incoming edges. And there are nodes in between where it's partly a sink, partly a source, but we will not care about that. Yes. So this particular strongly connected component would be a sink. Now, if this is a sink, if I start from any of these nodes in this sink, in this strongly connected component sink, either B, E, F, C, or D, if I only apply explore, would I always get my entire strongly connected component? Right? I would, right? Even if I do not start from B, I start from E, I would still get B, E, F, C, D. Even if I start from C or F or D or whatever, I would still get the same set of nodes, B, E, F, C, D. That is the strongly connected component of this set of nodes. Do you guys agree? Okay. The only case that I would not get all my strongly connected components is if I start from A. if I start from A, I would basically be exploring this entirety of the graph as a single, uh, in a single exploration. So in order to find strongly connected components, we need to figure out which nodes are part of the sink strongly connected component. You can imagine a directed acyclic graph or a directed cyclic graph as having multiple strongly connected components connected by non-cycle edges, right, that do not create cycles, right? So for example, we had that diagram somewhere. Let me just bring that up. Right, so we can imagine a graph having multiple strongly connected components, but if we abstract those away into a single node, then we would have a single acyclic graph that connects all those nodes without any cycles, obviously, right? Because if there was a cycle, that would be a part of a strongly connected component anyway. Okay, so what can we do in order to figure out that a particular node is in a sink? So it is easier to find a node in a source strongly connected component than finding a node in the sink strongly connected component, right? So that is why we would need to apply a technique that would basically help us figure out what are the nodes in a sink strongly connected component, and then we need to apply DFS on that particular node. And I will explain about how strongly connected components work. But you can imagine here that if we reverse those edges, right, let's say that I know that we have BEFCD as your a set of strongly connected components, and then I have A. Now, if I reverse those edges, and now if I just apply this particular, what's the word for it? Let me just give me a second. So if I now just apply DFS starting from the source node, that is the source node that is A, which was initially the source, but now it has become a sink because I have reversed all the edges. So if I start from a source node, in that particular scenario, only, but with edges reversed, only A will be discovered, right? Because we have reversed those edges, if I started from A in the original graph, I would have covered everything. But since I have reversed those edges, two things happen. A has now become a disjoint node if I start from A, and BEFCD is still a strongly connected component, right? Because even reversing those edges, I still have that same strongly connected component. So then I can then start from A, I get done with A, then I can start from either of those nodes. I will start from B, and then I can basically get this strongly connected component. So this would result in two components, A and BEFCD. Okay. Now, you might wonder that since A is in the beginning of this graph, that is why we are reversing it, and that is why it ends up allowing us to start from A, and that gives us this reversed, because of this reversed edge, that also allows us to get all the components. But what if there is a graph that where the strongly connected component comes first, and then that is connected somehow to A? So another example of this graph would be, instead of A connecting to B, let's say that D connects back to A. So in this particular scenario, if I start from B, I go to E, I go to F, I go to C, I go to D, and I then go to A. And then I reverse back. So A has the lowest post-visit number, followed by B having the largest post-visit number. But now, since A is not a source anymore, in this scenario, A is actually a sink. So if we have ordered our graph in this set of nodes, then we know that our source node in this scenario is this BEFCD strongly connected component. Again, if we reverse all the edges, so remember, if we started from the source node here again, it would cover everything including A. But again, if we reverse all the edges, we start from B, and then we cover everything of this set of nodes BEFCD, but we are not going to cover A because now the edges are reversed and A is not accessible anymore. And then we basically do A separately, and that also gives us two separate strongly connected components, BEFCD and A. And you can imagine that this A is also a pathway to other strongly connected components. But because we are ordering our graph using topological sort, that is why we are able to reverse that particular set of edges. And that gives us those properties where a child strongly connected component, or an SCC, a child SCC would always have a lower post visit number than a parent SCC. And if we combine all the nodes in a particular SCC together, that gives us a DAG, right? Okay. That should make it a bit more clearer, but let's just walk through the example for finding strongly connected components in our old example, the one given to us by Brian. So we have this particular graph and we are trying to find out all the strongly connected components of this particular graph. So we apply DFS on this particular graph and we have this set of post-visit and pre-visit numbers. What we want to do is, given this set of numbers, we want to create a new graph where all of the strongly connected components have been identified, and we get this new DAG that does not have any cycles, where A, E, and B are still singular nodes, but this C, D, F, and J are combined together into a single strongly connected component, and this H, I, and G are again connected into a single strongly connected component, right? Whereas E and B and A are again single nodes, but again they are components themselves. Okay. So that was the basic idea behind finding strongly connected components. And you would notice that we now require two things. First things first, we need to figure out the post-visit numbers and order them in this particular topological order. But the other thing that we need to do is reverse all the edges and then apply explore again, right? Once we have all the ordered nodes, then we reverse all the edges and then we apply explore again. We start off from the source node. We start off from B and then we basically figure out all of these nodes. And once we are done, that is, once explore is done, that means that we need to explore more to cover all the vertices that are not covered yet. And so then we move on to A, right? So that is how we iteratively figure out all the strongly connected components in a graph. We reverse the edges where all the sources become sinks and all the sinks become sources. And then essentially we pick out the source node, which in this scenario is going to be the sink node in this reversed edge. But we are going to apply DFS on this set of edges, but we are going to maintain the order provided to us by the original graph. Okay, so now let's look at an example and then come back to this thing later. Okay. Okay. So this link have been given to us by Brian Nees, and you should also look at this particular link, but I'm going to go through it anyway. So we have this original graph here. We have the DFS numbers of this graph, and then we create a transpose of this graph, essentially reversing all the edges. So when there was an edge between C to D, we now have an edge from D to C instead, right? So that is what we mean when we say we are reversing the edges. And so once we perform post DFS on this particular graph, we get this ordering, that is EBA, HGI, CD, and FNJ, right? Now we have this ordering. We are going to call explore on this graph in this order, but on the graph with reversed edges, or the transpose graph, right? So let me just write that down. We are going to explore with respect to ordering of G.